Okay, this is lesson 67, writing tenths and hundredths as decimal numbers. So we have the tens place, which means you have 10 of something, and we have the tenths place. See that TH means you have a part of something. You have one thing and you've cut it into 10 little pieces, okay? Hundredths, got that TH on there. That means you've cut it into 100 pieces and you have one of them. So in this one, we're going to take the fractions that we know how to write and turn them into decimals. So 1/10 is the same thing as 0.1. Or, if I said that properly, it's 0 and 1/10. So this is my ones place, there's my decimal, and there's my tenths place. So I only have one of those tenths, so I put my 1 right there. 100th, TH on the end, is written this way. So here's my ones place, my tenths place. I don't have any tens, do I? I just have 1/100th. So I put it over here in the hundredths place, right? 3/10. So I have 3 out of 10. I'm going to say, oh, I have 0.3 or 0 and 3/10. If I have 47 out of 100, I can say I don't have a whole thing. So I have 0 in the ones place, 0 and 47 hundredths. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that. Okay, example 1 says write 3/10 as a fraction and a decimal. So we just did that, but let's do it again. 3/10, so I have 3 out of 10. If I write it as a decimal, I say 3/10. So I say it the same way. Sometimes you'll hear me say 0.3 because I'm designating between decimals and fractions while I'm teaching, but properly they're both said 3/10, okay? Example 2, they want to know the shaded portion, and they've given you, let's see, a big box, and they've shaded 4 out of 10 sections. So my fraction is 4/10, so 4 out of 10. And if I wanted to write that as a decimal, I don't have a whole box shaded, I just have part of it. So I have 0 in the ones place, and I have 4 in the tenths place. So 4/10, 4/10. Look at example 3, and I, again, should have made those equal, but I'm terrible at circles and cutting them up. So I have a whole pie and a tenth of a pie. So I'm going to have a 1 in the ones place, 1 and 1/10. 1/10, right? So a whole thing and 1/10 of a part of a thing. In this case, pizza pies. Example 4 says write 12/100ths as a common fraction and as a decimal number. So hundredths, I've got 12 of something. Well, how do I know what my denominator is going to be? 100. And I have 12 of them, right? So 12 out of 100. And then I'm going to say I don't have a whole thing, so 0 and 12. So 12 is in the hundredths place. I have 1/10 and 2/100ths, if you break it down. Just remember, I have 2 zeros in my 100 and 2 places after the decimal, okay? What about example 5? They want you to write 4 and 3/100ths as a decimal number. So I have 4 and 3, but in the hundredths place, right? So there's my tenths place, there's my hundredths place. What do I do about that? There. So I only have 3/100ths. I don't have 3/10. That one's going to trip you up a little bit, so be real careful with that one, okay? Example 6 says name the shaded portion of the square as a common fraction and as a decimal number. So it took me forever, but I counted 33 shaded spots. There are 100 altogether, so I have 33 out of 100 shaded, right? So I don't have the whole square shaded, so 0's in my ones place. 0 and 33 hundredths. Okay. Hopefully this will make sense. It's not too tricky. I think the only one that might trip you up is when you have like 3 out of 100 or a single digit out of 100, like example 5. So work on that one, practice a little bit on those, because that might be the tricky part. All right, good luck.